Good day my fellow gamers. Today we are going to turn you into professional insurgency players with only 5 simple steps. But before we begin, I would like to say that this video is all in fun, so don't take anything I say too seriously. However, I can tell you there is a method to my madness and there is much that can be learned from this unique guide. So without further delay, let me present my advanced guide to Insurgency Sandstorm on console, narrated by the great UK Daniel. Here are my 5 tenets. 1. How to win. 2. How to kill people. 3. The importance of commander and observer. 4. Advanced techniques and strategy. And 5. When to throw all that tactical shit out the window and play like it's 10v10 shipment. For all you COD players out there who didn't bother playing the tutorial, the way you win the game is by going into the building with the large floating letter above it. And for those of you thinking this won't inflate your KD, that's where you're wrong. Observe how these brainless boys walk neatly in a straight line into my bullets. You'll notice that one capture netted me 6 easy kills without even dying. More than the sniper sitting all the way back in spawn could ever dream of. Pull a push off right, and you'll successfully have won tons of kills, hundreds of points, and the respect of your entire team. Another important thing to mention is to be aggressive. It doesn't matter how comfy your corner is, because everyone else has the same idea. If you want kills, and if you want to capture the objective, you have to work for it. So that begs the question, what about defending the objective? Well, when it comes to defense, you have more options. There are 2 major playstyles that are very beneficial to the team. The first is the classic Bastion strategy. Find a good window, post up, and cover the entrances. At least a few of these players are needed at all times to make sure that nobody sneaks onto the objective and caps it single-handedly, like I do so often. The second strategy, and one that will no doubt be appealing to the majority of players, is what I call forward defense. This, in essence, is hugging the borders of the restricted zone and waiting for careless players to walk straight into your loving embrace. With the densely cluttered maps in this game, there is an insane amount of opportunity for sneaky and creative spots that will have the enemy scratching their head, wondering where their buddies keep getting dropped from. As you might have already been able to tell, this is my preferred tactic, but there is another way to play this role which I heavily encourage you to try, and it revolves around the slight amount of time the restricted zone allows you to use your weapon when you first enter. Literally just run into the restricted zone and fire at will. The biggest advantage of this strategy is that you will catch players in a dead sprint, and it will take them so long to comprehend that you are an enemy, stop sprinting, and then raise their gun, that you will win one-on-one gunfights 95% of the time. The dangers in this strategy come from running into an entire enemy respawn wave, or overextending and losing your ability to shoot at a crucial time. It's a much higher risk, but it's very fun and it makes the enemy team super pissed. So in my opinion, it's worth 100% of the deaths. I'll keep this one short and simple, because any old guide by MGE Gibbs can help you perfect your gunplay, but some of us don't have the patience for that. So I'm going to be striking a delicate balance between skill and free kills. My first tip is to never under any circumstances use the Honey Badger. That gun is fucking dog shit and I don't care what your tier list says. Here is a list of security guns that are actually good for less supply points. The MP5, the Mark 18, the SCAR, the M249, the M110 SAS, the M24, the G36K, the AUG, the almighty M16, hell, even the MP7 is cheaper. It blows my mind that people throw on this gun for 5 credits, yet does the Uzi, which is the same price as a bottle with a rack shoved into it. With that out of the way, I would now like to preach the focus feature. On consoles it is right bumper. What focusing does is lower your sensitivity and zoom in your screen, like holding your breath with snipers in other games, but it also lowers your recoil significantly. I cannot stress enough the importance of utilizing this button, and I see that almost everyone forgets to use it. While in close quarters it won't make as much of a difference, but I would say the rule is if you can't make out exactly all the cosmetics the enemy is wearing, use focus. Now if you want a more in-depth guide to gunplay or what specific guns provide the best stats, go watch one of the cool kids. But I'll simplify it into 10 words. Honey badger ass. G36K good. Always be focusing.
While the choppers.
You guessed it, this one's dedicated to the fire support squad, and this one's personal. Commander and Observer and my two most played classes, and oh my god, you guys don't know jack about these roles. When I join a match in progress, I see one in about every 5 games, and even when they are there, they are either calling in smoke on themselves or the security observer is yelling at the commander for not calling in chemical mortars. But fear not, for I am here to educate. Let's start with the observer. As observer, your job is simple. Be the commander's pet dog. Follow him everywhere. Don't be the radioman Rambo guy who sprints full speed down the main road and gets his head torn off by a gunner. Literally just stick to the commander. If you know how this role works, I don't know how you can screw it up. But I guess where there's a will there's a way. Next we'll focus on the commander. Unlike your sidekick, you are the one calling the shots. You and only you decide what goes down and where. So you have to be mentally functional. And part of that is listening to what your team is suggesting. But again, you make the calls. So if you trust your own judgment, go for it. Just remember that if you are a commander who plays by their own rules, the results are the fault of you and you alone. So what about their abilities? Well, both sides' supports are extremely strong. And if there is a team without a commander, it's not likely that they will win over a team with one. Firstly, we have the smoke barrage, which is available to both teams. As you can see from this recycled footage, the barrage lays down a thick smoke screen that can obscure the sight lines of even the largest buildings. And since nobody really seems to understand that having your opponents not see you is a good thing and nobody packs smokes, this one is a lifesaver. The A10 needs no introduction. Next up is the explosive mortars/artillery. I personally find these ineffective, unreliable, and just unnecessarily bad. I'm so unimpressed by these things that me and just about everyone else I've seen just runs through them without a care in the world. In my months playing this game, I think I've been killed by them once. So in my opinion, you should avoid these if you have the option. The helicopters are effectively a guaranteed objective capture each if your team pushes while they are in the sky. Cleric, the minigun support, is more effective at killing enemies, and goddamn, is he good at killing enemies. The most I've ever seen Cleric kill in a single run is 16, which is more than the average player gets per game. Cleric is better suited to open and outdoor based areas, since if he can see something, it's got about 2 seconds to say its final words. Assassin, the helicopter gunship, isn't quite as effective at pure carnage as Cleric, but she opens up with a volley of rockets that is extremely powerful and versatile. It can be used to destroy the final objective and push, dropped on an objective to clear it out, or even used to take out a sniper or gunner that's harassing your respawn waves. Assassin also uses a 30mm autocannon rather than a minigun like Cleric, so it has splash damage and higher penetration. As a result, Assassin is much better than Cleric on indoor heavy maps. Another notable thing is the positioning differences between the two. Cleric circles the border of the map, while Assassin hangs out above the target area. This makes Assassin incredibly strong on power plants specifically, where the roofs of some objective buildings are torn sheet metal that Assassin can both see and shoot right through. The beautiful thing about the helicopters is that, as commander, You get credit for all their kills. I generally try to save the helicopters for the last 2 objectives, or if my team gets down to 1 respawn wave. And at the end of the day, it's your choice when and what helicopters to spawn in. So use these invaluable tools wisely. Next up we have the chemical mortars. These are amazing. The chemical mortars are a smoke screen that can kill you. And the best thing about this is that as insurgents, you get gas masks for free. And since all the security losers are brokeses, they can't afford that shit. So kick back and relax in your nice warm mustard gas sauna, knowing that even if some brave soul ventures into the mist, he won't be able to see Jack. Next up, the bomber drones and explosive drones. The bomber drones drop bombs, the explosive drone is the bomb. Let's get this out of the way. The explosive drone sucks. Part of the problem is that insurgent fire support is already pretty underwhelming compared to securities. And guess what? This piece of shit is attacker exclusive. Meanwhile the securities attacker exclusive fire support is an Apache and a flying minigun. The only thing I have to look forward to when playing offensive insurgent commander is the rocket barrage, which we'll get to in a second. But it just can't stack up against the helicopters. Bomber drones. They're okay. That's really all I can say for them. It's basically just a dollar store version of an A-10 strafe. Maybe you get lucky and it falls on a group of dudes crossing the road and you get a kill or 2. But the real fun comes in with the next one. Yes sirree, I'm talking about the rocket barrage. If you're explosive artillery, this is the guy she tells you not to worry about. Take note terrorists. This is how you blow stuff up from the sky. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our top 5 picks for the most fun strategies in Insurgency Sandstorm. Number 5. Rushing an objective while hip firing. This pairs best with an LMG or weapon with a drum mag. Enjoy feeling like Rambo as you dash into the objective, guns blazing, smoking everyone in sight. There is no greater feeling of power than clearing and capping a point without aiming it. Number 4. Sitting back and slapping people with a technical. Not only is this one fun, it's also practical. Every single enemy in the objective will be clutching their heads, begging for dear life. Number 3. Not sitting back with the technical. Rush that shit straight into the point with a buddy on the gun, tearing through the walls. This one is also highly effective, and becomes more and more so the more people you have to uber straight into the objective. But if you have no friends, going in alone can be just as effective, as you are much more sneaky. This strategy is most powerful at the very beginning of a round. Number 4. Playing Demolitionist. The game gives you access to every single explosive and says go nuts. You have the power to take out groups of enemies, technicals, and even the holy helicopters. And I cannot express how satisfying taking out Elise is. Demo man fun. Number 5. Abusing the shotguns. Take a shotgun, put a 2x scope on it, put an aiming grip on it, put a suppressor on it, load it with slug rounds, grab C4 or an IED. You are every single class in the game. You can shoot stuff, you can go in close, you can shoot stuff from far, you can blow stuff up. Can't call in fire support, but that's okay since you're a one-man army as is. With this loadout, your class does not determine your playstyle. You can do whatever you want. All you need is first shot accuracy. Trust me, this works. Ironically, playing this game like COD is an absolutely necessary skill to have, and arguably the most important thing yet in this guide. Playing run and gun is simply something you have to incorporate into your playstyle if you want to be the best you can be. Now there is a time and a place for it, but simply shrugging it off as not how the game is supposed to be played is the quickest way to become the guy who, when your team is out of respawn waves, sits in the corner of a random house 400 meters away and runs down the clock. Take the initiative, turn up your sensitivity, grab a CQB gun and get the f on the point. Yeah, you might die, so just keeping hitting it again and again until you're a CQB monster. Even as commander and observer you shouldn't be afraid to push when the time calls for it, and this is when you switch over to the Call of Duty mentality, where the only thing that matters is that you're quicker on the trigger than the bad guys. It's video games version of an adrenaline rush. Aggression is the easy fix everyone looks for. It requires no training and no work. It just transforms you from the to kill per round marksman in the back to the 47 and 17 KD beast who gets their clip featured by the devs. Well, that about wraps it up. There are a few important things I didn't talk about, like how underrated gunner is, examples of good insurgent guns, maps I like and dislike, and advanced technical usage. And I think I could have stressed the shitness of the honey badger a little more, but we'll save those for another video. Until then, I hope you operators enjoy my knowledge. Remember, stay aggressive, stay frosty, and I'll be seeing you out in the field.